What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about that tutorial dungeon area, whatever mentioned in the last video. Now, I'm going to keep this as system neutral as possible, but there are a couple things, at least in my campaigns, and you should adjust this formula according to yours, that are absolutely necessary to learn up front. First and foremost, I give a quick briefing of what the campaign is going to entail, whether this is a military operation where they are being briefed by a superior officer and are expected to stand and salute. That is established off the bat within the first 15 seconds. If that is expected of them, they will know it's expected of them. And more often than not, they will go with the program and do it. Again, there are some problem players, but we're not going to focus on them right now. That's a different video. Second of all, you need to establish what your characters are and aren't capable of by letting them use their abilities, by showing them that there is an element of risk of success and failure with every action they do whenever dice are being rolled. What this risk is, you have to make sure that they know is dependent on how they build their character. Now, personally, I favor my players using versatile characters because I myself play them and thus know how to build around them. But what I always establish is travel rules, going between one place and another. They always start off in one place and they always go to another place. In some systems, this is instantaneous thanks to futuristic vehicles, and others, well, it's not, and they takes time, and they have to establish a camp. I make sure that we normally have an equipment party, as we call it, where basically everyone goes through the book and picks out equipment, and I've had some players who were really team players and will build around other players' loadouts. This is the sort of thing that you need to establish. Is this a team game? Which I think it should be, but if it's not, you need to establish something different. I always have some form of acrobatics in my tutorial. You are jumping over some sort of obstacle and you are usually climbing something else. I explain the difference between doing so in combat and doing so out of combat. You need to explain using skills in and out of combat, that way they know the difference. We are talking about raw recruit players. Explain the reasons behind them. Explain your line of thinking behind the rules. Why you use the rules the way you do. They need to understand this in order to effectively play with you. Give them some basic enemies. Normally a bunch of grunts and one lieutenant or boss in one fight. Let them show how you organize them. I use fear tactics. I do. If they have an officer-like character, the enemy will be more motivated. They won't back down as much. They will retreat when it is advantageous to them. They will use the terrain to their advantage. If not, you stand a much better chance. So a lot of people learn very early on that taking out the officer character really shakes the morale. I often add morale rolls and whatever sort of saves or bonuses would be appropriate for the system if it's not already built in. That's my personal gaming style. I believe it is us and them. Usually that's how I run dungeons, campaigns, whatever. I just think of it in terms of a unit. A lot of people work very well with this, a lot of people don't. I tell people that up front as well. You need to establish what is expected of each person in the party. You need to establish why their role is important or isn't important. If you just don't like thieves and you don't like traps and locking doors, you need to tell them up front to focus more around stealth than actual trap disarming and lockpicking, because that's not fair to them. I mean, it really isn't. If I build a character that's built around disarming traps for the party and I really want everyone to like him because he's made to contribute to the party and then can't, I'm crestfallen. I'm devastated. I just started playing RPGs and it's your game that did this to me. You don't ever want that to happen. You don't want to do that to your friend. You don't want to do that to your players. So make sure they understand. I cannot emphasize this enough. Show them how you will use terrain. Show them how they can use terrain. Show them how they can interact with NPCs of all different ranks and files. Show them how you use barmaids, how you use innkeepers, how you use merchants, how you use everything. They need to really kind of get this. What is socially appropriate for them, because they're not walking down the street in the real world. They are more often than not in a foreign and fantasy world. You need to give them an understanding of things. Sometimes when they make mistakes, I kind of call them out on it, but not in a way that's hurtful. Like, I'll be like, haha, you look silly because you did something silly according to this world, and they kind of laugh it off, and, we all have fun. And it usually becomes an in-joke with the group. Sometimes people fail skill rolls that they thought they were going to be really good at. Like, there was this one guy who was an assassin, and I kept, like, okay, there's, like, a fallen beam and, like, some bodies, and you got to jump over it. You're running away. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. And then he's like, I'm going to make the jump roll, and he just failed. He made most of the other acrobatics rolls, but for some reason, whenever he was being chased, he couldn't jump over anything. It just kind of became an in-joke, that thing. You really have to understand group dynamics. You have to really establish group dynamics, I'm sorry. And, how does each character fit into the group? You have to make sure that everyone's bringing something to the table, and they feel like they are, because then everyone's going to enjoy it a lot more. If my character's skills are useless for your entire session, I'm bored, and I don't want to play your game. But if we establish that my skills are useful in the tutorial, then I'm probably willing to wait a lot longer to use them, because I know that at some point I'm going to get to do something cool, and I'm going to get some spotlight, I'm going to be happy. Because really, you need to make your players happy, and you need to make yourself happy. And if you build this positive energy loop, you're going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great hobby that you're going to use for the rest of your life. Establish whether or not miniatures and grids are appropriate. Establish whether or not power gaming is appropriate. In some campaigns, I don't entirely look down on it. It's so much as it's like, if you make a min-maxed character that doesn't make sense, I establish right up front that you need to be a human-ish being. Like, you can't just be good at one thing and that's all you've done your whole life. I believe that backstory is levels 1 through 6, and the next video I'm putting out is level 0 characters, because I believe that that is an even better way to do a tutorial. But not everyone wants to play something that weak, so, again, build a very quick, sort of rough and tumble subplot for your tutorial, or don't, if you just want it to be like a, metagame, it's in its own pocket dimension thing, that's fine too. But make sure that you use skills, you use the group dynamic, that you establish what kind of equipment and how it works. Do this over time and organically. If you notice people are picking up a lot of stuff, that might become a time to suddenly throw encumbrance rules at them. Not throw it at them. I mean, actually, for some groups, the shock value of, oh crap, my character is actually carrying too much stuff and I can't do what I thought I could do. I need to fix this later. They probably... learning it the hard way like that sometimes really sinks in with them more. Next couple videos are going to be on level 0 characters and you making the best of your own GM's toolbox. Have a wonderful day. Will Hoyts signing out.